There is a language running underneath your dog's day, and you have been half reading it for years. Not the tail wags, not the loud, obvious stuff that any owner can name. The other layer. The small drift in the ears, the pacing that started 10 minutes before anything happened, the way the body went quiet a beat too long. Most owners catch the loud signals and miss the soft ones, and the soft ones are usually the real message. So here is the uncomfortable part. Your dog may have been warning you about things clearly in its own grammar, and the warning simply never got translated. The assumption most of us carry is simple. If something were truly wrong, the dog would make it obvious. A dog in distress would look distressed, the way a distressed person looks distressed, big and loud and impossible to miss. So, when we look back at a bad moment, a scuffle at the park, a scare on a walk, something medical that seemed to come from nowhere, we assume the dog gave us nothing because we remember seeing nothing. That is not how it tends to work. The signal is usually there. It is just small, and it usually looks like something harmless. A dog being a little needy, a dog being a little restless, a dog going still for no clear reason. The problem was never that your dog said nothing. The problem is that what it said was quiet, and some of what you were taught to listen for points you at the wrong thing entirely. Start with the clearest evidence we have that dogs broadcast before trouble, and it comes from one of the hardest situations an owner can face. A team led by Finnegan at the Royal Veterinary College in the United Kingdom, working alongside the University of Veterinary Medicine in Hanover, surveyed 229 owners of dogs with idiopathic epilepsy. They asked a direct question. Before your dog has a seizure, can you tell that it is coming? The answer was striking. Just under 60% of those owners, 59.6%, said yes, they could predict their dog's oncoming seizure. And of those, 45.5% said they could see it at least 30 minutes ahead. Not a vague feeling in the room. Half an hour of warning. The signs they named were not dramatic either. The most common one was the dog suddenly clinging, needing to be close, reported by about a quarter of them. Then came restlessness, a distracted kind of pacing. Then a quiet fearfulness. Overall, almost 65% of owners reported some change in their dog before the seizure, with restlessness at the top of the list. Sit with what that means. The thing the owner registers is not an emergency. It is a dog being a little extra clingy on the couch. It is a dog that cannot quite settle. It reads as a mood. It is actually a forecast. And the only reason those owners learned to read it is that the same quiet pattern repeated again and again until the link became impossible to ignore. The seizure case is dramatic, but the same quiet broadcasting shows up somewhere far more ordinary in the handful of seconds before two dogs get into it. At the University of Pisa in Italy, Mariti and colleagues staged controlled introductions between dog pairs, 24 core dogs, each meeting a series of others, 96 recipients in total, all of it filmed in a small enclosure. They were tracking what researchers call calming signals, the silent moves a dog makes with its body, turning the head away, licking its nose or lips, freezing into stillness, turning the whole body aside, yawning. Here is what the footage showed. When one dog turned aggressive, the dog on the receiving end answered with at least one of these calming signals roughly 79% of the time. And when it did, the intensity of the aggression measurably dropped. In the third or so of cases where no calming signal appeared, the aggression continued, or it escalated. Read that again because it quietly rewires something. That head turn you have watched your dog do near another dog, the sudden freeze, the lip lick. You may have read it as your dog being nervous, or being calm, or doing nothing much at all. It is not nothing. It is your dog actively working to diffuse a moment that is tilting toward bad. The stillness is not the absence of a signal. The stillness is the signal. And if you do not know to look for it, the first thing you consciously notice will be the part that comes after, the part nobody can miss. So the lesson seems clear. Stop watching for the loud thing. Watch for the small thing, the lip lick, the yawn, the freeze, and you will catch trouble early. The research does not let you off quite that easily, though. Gowler and a team from the University of Bern in Switzerland, together with the University of Lincoln, ran a sharp little study on real fear. Owners filmed their dogs for 5 minutes during actual New Year's Eve fireworks, then filmed 5 matched minutes on a calm, quiet night, and the two were compared side by side. Two of the most famous stress signals in the entire dog world, lip licking and yawning, the exact signals you have probably been told to watch for showed no reliable difference between the terrified dog and the relaxed one. So, which signals did hold up? The single strongest one was the ears. During the fireworks, the dog's ears pulled back and stayed back. By a wide margin, the most reliable tell in the study. Pacing climbed sharply. Heavy panting climbed with it. The signals that actually marked a frightened dog were not the delicate, famous ones. They were the cluster, the ears, and the movement and the breathing, all shifting together away from that dog's own normal. And there is a layer running underneath even that. At the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia, Gabo and colleagues measured what happens inside a dog during aggressive reactivity using thermal imaging and saliva samples. They found the dog's facial temperature actually climbed, and its serotonin ran lower, a hidden alarm in the body that was already moving before the visible behavior had fully arrived. So, the turn resolves like this. Do not hang everything on one famous signal, because the famous ones can fail you. Watch instead for several quiet things changing at once, all of them drifting away from your own dog's baseline. That cluster is the sentence. A single lip lick, on its own, is just one ambiguous word. Pull back from the studies for a moment, because what they add up to is something quieter than science. Your dog has been talking to you the whole time, not only in the moments you noticed, in the 1,000 moments you did not. The clingy evening, the pacing you filed as restlessness and nothing more. The half-second of stillness near another dog at the park. None of it was random noise. All of it was language, a steady, low channel of information running under the surface of an ordinary day. And here is the part worth holding on to. You were never taught this language. Nobody hands you the grammar when you bring a dog home. So if you have missed signals, that is not a failure of love. It is a gap in translation, and gaps in translation can close. Learning to read your dog is not about guilt for the signals you missed. It is about everything you get to catch from here forward. Your dog was never asking for a flawless owner. It was just communicating in the only way it has and trusting that the bond would carry the rest. So here is what to actually do with all of this. Stop scanning for one dramatic sign and start learning your own specific dog's normal, because the warning is almost always a change from that normal, not a single textbook gesture. A dog that suddenly needs to be on you when that is not its usual way. Pacing that was not there last week. Ears that keep sliding back. Panting that does not match the temperature or the activity. One of those alone might be nothing at all. 2 or 3 of them together, arriving as a new pattern, is your dog telling you something has shifted. And this is where those soft signals point back at something real. If you notice a repeating cluster like that, especially clinginess and restlessness showing up together before a specific kind of episode, that is worth a calm conversation with your vet, not a diagnosis from a video, just a flag worth raising with someone who can actually look. The same goes for that freeze near other dogs. Do not correct it. Read it, and give your dog the space it was asking for. You are not hunting for a problem. You are learning to hear the sentence while it is still quiet. Go back to where this started. A language running underneath your dog's day. A warning that never got translated. That was true. But it is a little less true than it was 20 minutes ago, because now you know some of the grammar, the cluster instead of the single sign, the change from baseline, the stillness that is actually work. Your dog has not been silent. It has been speaking a language you were simply never taught, and you just learned your first few words of it. That is the whole reason this channel exists. Not to make dogs more mysterious, but to make them more readable, to close the distance between what your dog is saying and what you are able to hear. If that is something you want more of, subscribing is how you keep learning the language. And the next time your dog goes quiet and clingy on the couch for no reason you can name, you will not see a mood anymore. You will see a sentence. And you will know to listen.